60 and 60 and single, 60 and happy, 60 and whatever it is that you want to talk about when you're over 60.
You still need me, will you still feed me when I'm 64?
Hello, Julie, and welcome to 60 and podcast. How are you?
I'm fantastic, Michelle. I'm very happy to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Sure. Well, the first question is we always ask, so it's 60 and ... How would you finish that sentence?
Well, I would say spectacular.
Oh, good.
Sexy, stunning, all of the above.
Those are awesome.
They are.
I'm making some notes. So I saw your website and stuff, and I was so interested in the, what is it, 50 over 50 or?
It's the 50 and Fabulous project, and it started as 50 over 50. You're correct about that. It started as 50 over 50, and so many women have replied and responded. And I feel like it's something that we really, really need right now. It's something that women over 50 are yearning for, longing for. I have heard so many stories from women who feel like we're not seen. And
Exactly. And that's kind of how this all happened. Was I was at a luncheon, socially distanced, and it was me and another woman my age, right? And then there were two girls who were like 25 or something. And the waiter came to the table. He did not ask us for our drink, or he only talked to the young girls. And we both sat there and looked, and it was like, are you kidding? Like, and he turned around and walked away, like as though we didn't exist. And I'm like, okay, I need to talk about this.
Yes, we do need to talk about it. And we need also, yes, it's out there in the world, and it's also in here in us, which that's the piece that I'm on. That's what I'm on. That's the journey. I want to empower women to be seen at every age, because I believe
have you always been a photographer?
I've always been a photographer, but it hasn't always been my business. I worked for a long, almost 20 years, as a high school counselor, a middle school counselor, and a university admission counselor. So I've worked with people my entire life. That has been part of my passion, and photography's been my passion, seriously, since I was a little girl. So yes, I've always been a photographer. My business really, as a counselor, I had this place that I knew I was having an impact and making a difference on the world. And I didn't really know how I could do that with photography. And what has evolved is that absolutely, helping women to be seen and to see ourselves as powerful, strong, beautiful, so many things that sometimes we forget about in ourselves.
And that's kind of my ideal as well. I've spent 30 years plus in the corporate world. And then when, we go through all these different stages in our life. I had to stop and take care of my parents, and so I started my own business so that I could stay at home and be okay with managing them. And that's the point, helping women in this. It's like before you had to have a brick and mortar to have a business, and now you don't. So I also saw that you do some personal branding and things like that, which is also really important. I work together with a brand photographer, and it's always so amazing when I get a woman in business who I even go on Facebook to see if I can steal something to do a promotional, and there's not a single picture of her alone. There's always another person with her, or a kid, or a husband, or somebody's always there with her. And you're like, you need to shine by yourself. So how do you convince women? I watched your TEDx talk, and so how do you convince women to get over that I don't want to be seen thing?
Well, I believe it's a human condition that we all want to be heard and we all want to be seen. It's part of living, growing, existing. And so I believe that we all see that, or that we all want that. And we have been conditioned as women to not be to this or not be to that, or any number of stories that we have told ourselves or we have been told. And sadly, many women still believe that. And my goal is to change the narrative. And women who I talk with like this in conversation, they start to get it. And they're like, yes, I want to be seen. Yeah. And some women haven't had a professional photograph taken in
their whole
years,
life, or in their whole life.
Yeah, maybe their high school senior picture, or maybe their wedding. And again, that's with another person. So especially women business owners, people want to do business with people who they know. And so much visual, so much of the information that comes into our brain, it's nearly 90% of the information that enters our brain is visual. And that makes a huge impact on your clients and your ideal clients, our clients and our ideal clients. And I have so many stories of women. Well, there are really at least two parts of it. There's a big mindset shift after a woman has a portrait session with me, because I create that space so that they are free to express who they are in the world in a way that is how they want to be seen. Then there are the photographs and the response that people have to the photographs, which is always, gasping and yeah. And then there is, of course, the woman's her own response to the photographs. And oftentimes, sometimes women cry, sometimes they gasp, because they're seeing something that maybe they've forgotten or never seen in themselves. So yeah, it's interesting. It's not really as much convincing. It's kind of an unearthing and helping women to realize that it's our birthright to be seen.
I mean, I feel like I was part of the problem. I was in advertising. I was in the fashion industry and worked in advertising. And, way back when we were styling and doing things, it's like, and then photoshopping. And I mean, even the models we used were if you looked at the back of a model, she would have all kinds of clips and pins and things like this. It was like nobody's really real in a picture sometimes. And it's like we have this ideal that they just stumbled into the room and looked like that, right?
Yes.
It wasn't 5 people on hair and makeup, 2 people doing the styling, 1 person making sure all the hair didn't wisp or anything like that. It's like a staff of people took that stupid little photograph for this little rinky-dink store. I mean, like, imagine what they do for Vogue, like imagine when you blow that up to a Vogue level or something like that.
Yes.
And that whole concept of how, like always looking, a certain way or always being, it's so difficult. Did you do an exhibition of your photographs?
Well, because of the times that we're living in, I have not had the exhibit yet. And because where I live, it is cold part of the year here in Northern Colorado, I have not yet had the exhibit. I just started talking today with somebody about having it later this spring. So we're going to have a big celebration with women and the women that they love and the men that they love, because, for me, this is about elevating women. And an elevated woman, when we bring our best to the table, oh boy, does the life of everybody around us change. And that includes men in a good way. It changes, it's better for everybody. So That's what it's about for me.
This is a little off topic. What is the scariest thing you've ever done in your life, or a scary situation that you've ever been in?
I've done a lot of scary things. When I had my insurance years back, I'm a scuba diver. And
I can imagine there's scary things about, how do you be a scuba diver in Colorado?
You know what? Colorado has more certified scuba divers than any other state in the country.
Really? Even Florida?
We're an adventurous, outdoorsy state. So I do not scuba dive in Colorado, although there is high altitude diving in lakes, but I don't love to dive in lakes. One scary situation that I was in. Okay, well, I have some scary situations that were work situations when I used to work with high risk individuals. Those are emotionally, they're tedious and they're scary because you taking care of children's safety and that kind of thing. But for my own personal thing, it did happen scuba diving, and my husband and I were in Mexico diving, and it's beautiful, clear blue water. It's warm. We're having margaritas every evening, getting up early, going down to the beach, getting our scuba tanks on, getting in the little boat with the dive master. And then underwater, everything is quiet and serene and beautiful. And we went down on our second dive of the day, descending with the dive master. There were maybe 4 or 5 other divers in our group. And all of a sudden, the sharks started to circle around us. And they started getting closer and closer. I don't like sharks.
Well, no, especially
So the dive master gave us the thumbs up, which means get to the surface, not in a panicky kind of way.
No, not like a
no, you don't want to panic. So we get to the surface, and this is even where it gets, we do a safety 3-minute compression, safety stop. We get to the top, we get in the boat, and he explains to us that they are bull sharks, which are the most aggressive. There are the most instances of these sharks attacking humans. So that was pretty scary.
Well, with my 50s, I lived on the beach, and I bought a surfboard, and I was learning to surf. So I learned about sharks, and we have in Florida, South Florida, every once in a while, I mean, you can see them out there, but it's like, you don't go during feeding time, you don't go late, and you don't go late.
Right.
So I totally get it. I was just like, oh my God, they were sharks, weren't there?
So that was kind of scary. So I also am a surfer, and I've been surfing with my son in LA.
Okay.
So I do have a beach connection.
Okay. Yeah, in Florida, it's not so easy. It has to have a storm connected to get the waves, because the Bahamas block us, down here in the South. Like if you go up further north, like Fort Pierce, that's where there's no more islands out there. So the waves come in stronger. But down South Florida, you have Bimini, you have the Bahamas, you have it's out there and it's breaking the waves. So it has to really have a storm to have anything big. Or
Isn't this great that we're talking about this? Because who would have thought that
two old 50-year-old over 50.
Yeah, I mean, this is us. It's great.
Yeah.
Who says we have to be sitting in a rocking chair?
Exactly. Well, I was lucky. My mother she retired when my dad retired, and she was older than he was. So she moved to Florida when she was 72, I think. So my mom, my parents, we had a family business, so everybody worked. Retirement wasn't like a word that anyone really knew what you're supposed to do. So, I have like a pretty strong work ethic. So it's very frustrating when I hear from my friends and like reunions and stuff, and people will put in a little book, we're retiring to be with our grandchildren, blah, blah. And I'm like, I just started 3 new businesses. I'm doing this. I'm in Europe. I'm in, for Paris. And they look at that. I just look, I'm like, what? How can you just sit down? Like, why?
Yeah. And I mean, everyone's going to
Different.
do what they're going to do.
Yeah, everyone's different.
Yeah.
So magic is a big part of my life. My father was also a magician. So I like to always ask, what is a magic moment in your life? What was one of the magic moments in your life? And you thought of something immediately. Tell me what that was. I saw that little flicker in your eye. So tell me.
Yeah, so it was
Don't
when I was in, so if you watched my TED Talk and I mean, that is one magic moment, absolutely.
Yeah.
So anybody, if you look up my name, Julie Ulstrup TED, you'll hear about that moment, and I'm going to share another one with you. This other moment was I was at a portrait class seminar, and it was, in fact, it was all women 50 and better. That's what I like to say. We're 50 and better.
I like that.
Yep. And I had a portrait session, and we were a bunch of photographers together photographing each other. We had hair and makeup done. We were pampering ourselves, not with 15 people like you did at the ad agency. And one of my fellow photographers took a picture of me that took my breath away. And still, when I look at that picture, I remember that feeling, and I remember that spark of who I am and what I'm meant to be and how I contribute and shine in the world. So that was a very magic
Was it a
moment.
picture that caught you in action, or was it a picture that you were actually posed for?
I was posed for it. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was magic, and it continues to be just like my TED Talk story continues to bring magic into my life. I don't
remember when the date was. When did you do the TED Talk?
I did the TED Talk November 14th of 2020. So it's a relatively new TED Talk. Yeah. And if people want to watch it, I would love if you'd leave a comment, because then it's going to get more legs.
2020, like, how was it even, it sounded like a big audience. How did you have an audience?
That was a magic experience as well. The people who organized the TED Talk that I did, did this incredible, we were on the regular TED stage, we were filmed, we went through all of the same things that we would go through had it been in person. However, there were 5 or 6 people in the audience.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. But they did a magic job of editing in the audience and all of that. So yeah, they were very, go ahead.
I was a speaking coach for the Boca Raton TEDx. So I coached speakers.
Yeah. Well, they were really clear that they didn't want this, that this would live in perpetuity online, and they didn't want it to be a pandemic TED Talk. They wanted it to have the look and feel of a TED Talk.
And it did. It really did. It really did.
Yeah.
What else do you think you would like to say to the younger women who are going to be watching this and listening to this about the different stages of being a woman? I always look at, like, my life has been, I feel like I've lived 50 lives. There's so many different, like, when you think back, you're like, oh, that was that segment, and this was this. I mean, so many different things that happen. You can't even remember them all anymore. What would you say to them? What kind of help can you give anyone who's younger than 50 listening to this, what the future holds?
I would say embrace and enjoy every moment and every phase for what it is and for who you are during that phase, and celebrate that. Because if you have a really hard charging career, that may change. If you have young children, they will grow up. If you have teenage children or middle school children, like I said, I worked with those parents a lot, that will change as well. And to embrace every age and every stage is the biggest gift that we can give ourselves and the world. I mean, like you said, you're starting 3 businesses and traveling all over the world and doing all of these great things. Enjoy every moment of it.
Well, I lived in Europe for a long time, so that's why I never thought I'd come back to the United States, and yet here I am in Florida, nonetheless.
Yes, that's quite an international community in Florida.
Yeah.
Florida.
So what do you think the future holds for you?
Well, I'm going to continue to empower women. I am growing my photography business in a really big way, and I have women who have visited my studio from all over the world. So I want to continue to do that. I want to continue the work of empowering women through portraits, helping them to see that they have so much to offer right in this very moment, right as they are right now. So that will continue here at my studio in Colorado. I'm also opening a studio in Southern California, so I will serve women there. And in the near future, in Spain. You saw in my TED Talk, I lived in Spain. So,
So we're in Spain?
Southern Spain. I don't know exactly yet. Maybe Marbella, maybe in the Canary Islands.
Yes, that's big for Europeans.
Yeah.
Yeah. Been to Canaries a lot. Because when
Nice.
you're in Germany, that's like the closest islands that you can hop away to.
Yeah.
That are warm. So, well, I really appreciate your time. Is there any last mottos or any last things that you would like us to remember about being 50 and fabulous?
50 and fabulous, 60 and spectacular.
50 and better. I really like that.
I would say, whatever age we are, that we deserve to live the best of our life for the rest of our life.
Very nice. Very nice. I like
Keep
that.
growing, keep shining.
Yeah.
Because I believe that's why we're here.
Right. So where can people find you? Tell us your website.
My website is julieulstrup.com. I'm Julie Ulstrup Photography on Facebook, Julie Ulstrup Photo on Instagram, and my TED Talk is a great place to have a little intro.
So why don't you spell that last name so people can figure that out?
Yes, and Julie is spelled what I think is the normal way, Julie, and Ulstrup is Ulstrup. It's a very common Norwegian name.
Yes.
And I am a first-generation American and a long past descendant American as well. So
very good. Very good. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Will you still feed me when I'm 60?